Yeah, when I was first in the coaching profession, I was kind of told, hey, make the big time where you're at. So, like, I tried to just immerse myself in the job that I was in. Throughout the course of my career, like, people would ask, like, what's your end goal? And I don't know that I really had an end goal. I wanted to have an opportunity to be a head coach, and I got to do that at the junior college level. But, as you kind of move through, those different spots, those different jobs, I hoped that at some point I was going to get the opportunity to coach basketball at the highest level of Division I, and I never would have dreamed that it would have worked out to be at Iowa. So, I'm just really fortunate for the opportunity here, and I'm excited about it.
Can you give us some insight on how Coach McCollum first kind of hired you? Was it at Drake or was it before that?
It was at Drake. Yep. He and I had some contact the last couple of years. Just about random things. I sat next to him at a couple recruiting events, and we just had conversation. And, I was the head coach at Indian Hills, and my phone rang, and he just said, "Hey, do you have any interest to get back to Division I level?" And I wasn't really thinking about going to Indian Hills and being there 10 months and then leaving. That wasn't really in my plan. But I knew in my head there was a couple jobs like here in the state that I would leave for, and so the opportunity to work for him and then be at Drake, like, those were two things that as my family and I talked about it, my wife and I talked about it and evaluated the situation, it was something I felt like we had to do.
Are you the most starstruck guy on staff when it comes to, like, looking around and seeing Carver and being here? I mean, Coach Ben too obviously grew up a Hawkeye fan, so it's like you both kind of look around like, hey, we're Iowa coaches now.
Yeah, I think him and I know Iowa basketball from just being little guys growing up. I know in his press conference he talked about how he went to camp here, and I have memories of being at camp here too. So just from those experiences and the length of time that I've been associated or been around, been a Hawkeye fan, I think him and I probably both have that, definitely, yeah.
As you guys wait for Alvaro to get here, how do you kind of mentally work him into the plans? Like, how does...
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for Alvaro, it's, working from afar, watching him, trying to help him navigate maybe some situations that he goes through there, if he's playing well or not playing well, and how to handle those situations. I think we were able to give him some structure here, in the last 2 weeks that he was here with us before he did leave. And so it really helped us, I think, as we plan for him going forward on how, we're going to be able to best utilize him. So I think, we've had that plan, but then also having him not here has also given us an opportunity to coach some of these other guys and put those guys in positions as well, so that when we add the group back together as a whole, I think we'll be stronger.
Yeah.
After walking into this job with only one guy on the roster, I guess how nice is it to actually be coaching basketball again after trying to basically obtain a roster over the last 3 months?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part, because when this whole thing happens, you're like in scramble mode to try to put together a roster and retain any of the guys that you can retain, but then you're also have everything from a personal standpoint that you're trying to navigate, so you feel like the pressures of all these different things at once. And then when you actually get to come in here for an hour a day or hour and a half a day or whatever it is and coach basketball, and you're like, oh yeah, this is why we do this, and just being around the guys and interacting with the guys. We have guys that are great to hang out with and be around, so that's what makes it really enjoyable.
Can you take us into the huddle